ABC News. I know you're not going to negotiate in public here, but there does seem to be more flexibility from both Israel and Hamas right now. What do you attribute that to? Is it the killing of Sinwar? Is it the weakening of Hezbollah? Is it President-elect Trump injecting urgency into this? And just on Syria, the Israeli government is saying its presence in the buffer zone and outside of it, inside Syria itself, is temporary. Do you believe them that it's temporary? Did the Prime Minister give you a sense of what conditions would need to be met before Israel would withdraw?
We didn't go into deep detail on the conditions other than to say that those conditions would require Israel to feel that the kinds of understandings that were in place before the fall of the Assad regime to ensure stability, predictability, and for Israel are put back into place. And yes, we do have every expectation that it will be temporary. The Prime Minister, the Israeli government have made that point, not just to the United States, but have made that point publicly. And we take them at their word that that is the intention here as we work through a new arrangement that can ensure that Israel is secure in light of the risks that have been laid out in previous questions. There are any number of reasons for why contexts change in negotiations, especially in a situation as fluid as this. But I would point out that Hamas's posture at the negotiating table did adapt following the announcement of the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Why is that? It's because for months, we believe Hamas was waiting for lots of other actors and forces to come to their rescue, to come to their aid. And when we got that ceasefire, it was clear that the Northern Front had been decoupled from Gaza. And from that moment forward, we've had a different character to the negotiation. And we believe that it puts us in a position to be able to close this negotiation. It is also, of course, relevant that Israel's ability to meet so many of its military objectives in Gaza is relevant to the negotiation too, including the elimination of the top leader, Sinwar, other authors of that October 7th massacre, and the dismantlement, the destruction of the organized military formations of Hamas. So these are relevant considerations that we think have put this onto a plane where it could get done. Whether it does get done still depends on both sides ultimately signing on the proverbial dotted line. The last thing I will say with respect to the incoming administration is actually we've had, as I said in my opening comments, very good consultation and coordination with them, including on this issue, where we keep them apprised of how the negotiations are unfolding. We talk to them about how we can send a common message that the United States, no matter who's sitting in the Oval Office, no matter whose party's in charge, wants to see this ceasefire and hostage deal and see it now. That is all part of the American contribution to an effort to ultimately produce an outcome here. And we're going to keep working until we get it done. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Ben Yaniv, Channel 14. Regarding the continuation of passage of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip, knowing what we know now that Hamas takes advantage of this aid and holds it as a leverage for his own rule, was it a mistake by your administration to push Israel to maintain the transport of humanitarian aid and by that to strengthen Hamas?
It absolutely was not a mistake for the United States to seek to ensure that women and children and innocent people in Gaza who have nothing to do with hiding behind civilians, making it that much more difficult for Israel to carry the fight against Hamas and destroy its capabilities. Those people deserve the basic sustenance of life. They deserve food, water, medicine, sanitation. And by the way, that's not just an American position. That's a requirement under international humanitarian law. And it is also the position of this Israeli government, who is not standing up saying we should give no humanitarian assistance to the people of Gaza. They're saying something different. Now, we have viewed various critical points over the course of the past 15 months as moments where not enough was getting in to ensure that people had what they needed to survive, and we made no bones about pressing on that. Because we think at the end of the day, feeding starving children does not harm the security of the State of Israel, but it does vindicate our common shared values of humanity. And so, as I said in my remarks, the American commandment, the Jewish commandment that every innocent life has value, that is a present factor, and it's something we have to take seriously, even as we take seriously that Israel has every right, indeed a duty, to go after its enemies with everything it's got. You have done that, and we have backed you in going after your enemies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran itself. We have helped defend you against attacks, including from Iran itself, and we have also stood up to say, let's make sure that Israel is not responsible for the third famine of the 21st century. We think that that is the right way to pursue a principled and just and strong, robust policy, and we will continue to do that as long as we're in office.